All right, all right. Welcome, 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 everyone. Jordan, if you want to let everybody in, you can. If you are just joining us, we are in the early few minutes of launching our 3-day workshop with Matt Deseno. If you don't know who Matt is, either you're brand new to the high level world, or maybe you're brand new to digital marketing, because he is quite the figure even outside of high level as well, has a lot of relationships in the software world. He's been doing this for a very long time. So if you're trickling in, you'll notice that our Zoom chat is intentionally turned off. And Jordan, our community leader there, he is going to drop a link for our Facebook page streaming. That's where I'm going to be monitoring comments. We're currently live in like 9 or 10 different social channels. So please bear with me. It's really hard for me to keep track of all the comments in our team. So I'm going to pay attention to the Facebook page. So, first of all, tell us what city and state you're checking in from. Maybe you're overseas. I know some of you are staying up late in Europe and Australia to learn a lot of different things. And first of all, I want to introduce Matt. Matt's been part of our community for a very long time, and you might have seen his name being thrown across. He's got a really big business called HL Pro Tools and a couple of others as well. And he's going to share a bit more about a lot of the different brands that he built. But most importantly, when Matt and I got together and we said, you know what, it's time. It's time to open the curtains behind the scenes on how to run a SaaS company. And matter of fact, not just SaaS, but a SaaS hybrid oriented company that is service driven as well. We got a lot of cool topics kind of planned out, but the one that really struck home for us is helping all of you get to your customers, right? So we're going to talk about 10 different ways to get to your first 100 clients. And I promise you, there's not a lot of people with the right credibility to preach about that. And I feel confident that Matt has the insights because he's served thousands of you that are in the high level family, and he's been a digital citizen for a long time. And I don't want to waste any more time just, talking about Matt. But what we want to do is get into the nitty gritty of how this is. Matt, give us a rundown of your story. I don't think I did justice to explain who you are in our community. You've been part of this world of high level for a very long time, so we're extremely, extremely excited for the relationship we're building. Matt, what's your story in marketing, man? I know you're a family guy, you had a lot of things going on, but tell us your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, I'm gonna cover some of that in a few slides here, but I'll just man, I just want to get into it because I know like we had a big time together. You'll learn I have a big background in marketing, even teaching. So as an adjunct professor of marketing at Pepperdine University, I see some folks in Los Angeles, LA area. Um, and so I love teaching, I love communicating, and what brings me a ton of joy is the application of it and the ahas that happen because as I'll share along the way, this is a beautiful thing about us as humans is if we had to just live in ourselves, what we could accomplish is like done. Basically, the sum of all you are is doing what you're currently doing now. This beautiful thing happens when you get in a room with other folks. They start to share experiences, they share what's happening. Sometimes they share belief, they share where they're at. And all of a sudden, our mind literally expands. What we believe is possible, what we actually can achieve and can make real is grown exponentially. And so I'm super excited to just share that with you all. I'm doing a
Absolutely.
different format than I've ever done before. So I love the feedback. I got about half teaching the way that you've seen me teach, the other half. Paulson, it's not, this is all going to be good, but I'm gonna try to flex a little bit of the tech I've got going on in the studio. So we'll see if we can do it. Bring it back to like kind of grade school style here, but I'm just super excited to dive into it and
Absolutely.
make the most of our time.
Yeah, let's do it. And I don't want to waste any more time. And by the way, just a heads up for those of you that might be new in our world of high level, if you're watching this and you're not part of the high level family just yet, for whatever reason, this 3-day workshop, we're going to spend Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Today's Monday here in the US. We're going to spend the next 3 days teaching you as much as we can. And what's really cool is Matt and his team has put together resources and collaterals that are going to be part of an offer. Okay. And that offer is very simple. We do this every time. It is a 30-day trial to a high-level account. You're going to get an entire month. But based on what Matt is teaching and his team is teaching, we're going to provide snapshots, collaterals, all kinds of stuff. But what you do have to do is jump into the free trial offer that is part of this workshop. Okay, so they're in the comments, in the description, wherever you're gonna find the offer link. Take advantage of it. I promise you, this is the first time for us to ever do an event with Matt Deseno. And I don't know when the next one's going to be. I'm sure we'll do more. But this is a huge, huge advantage for a lot of you to start with something that's already proven. Matt and his team has put together massive amounts of collaterals that's going to be, provided as part of the trial offer. Now, you might be wondering, Paulson, I'm already on an account. I already have 497. I'm on the annual plan. Stay tuned until day 3. We'll make sure you have some things that you can take away as well. But wait, be patient. Give us till day 3 for those of you that are existing customers. But Matt, without any further ado, let's go right into it, man.
Yeah, I love it. We're talking the top 10 ways to get your first or next 100 subscribers. I think Paulson's going to appreciate this. Let's see if this will work. Oh, come on. As soon as I start using it, the technology decides to break down on me. Okay. I thought I'd be able to clicker through this. Oh, what? Okay. I think it'll work now. Nope. We'll just make it work. This is not for the mediocre many. So I put it on the footer of every single slide that I have. It's high levels disclaimer, disclosure language here. I just want to be ultra clear here. I have a privileged position. What I'm sharing with you is, in some ways, seems fantastical. I promise you with all sincerity, this is what I'm seeing behind the scenes. I have no ulterior motive. I just genuinely have seen my life shaped so positively by being around these folks. But I do want to be clear, is this is not for the mediocre many. These results are not guaranteed. They do not happen easily. They are the exception to the rule. But look around in your life, the exception to the rule, like being an entrepreneur, you are already in a category of exception to the rule. But I just want to be ultra clear. If you are looking for guaranteed, if you are looking for basic, you're looking for vanilla, this is not for you. It is not going to happen. Odds are not in your favor. And that's just true as an entrepreneur. I want to be clear about that. But if you want to join the elite, if you are like me, years ago, I remember hearing stories like this and seeing people share. And I asked myself this question, why not me? I encourage you to ask yourself this question. Like this is not for the mediocre many. This is the exception to the rule, but why not me? This was the question that I asked myself. Gosh, it was probably, 6-7 years ago when I've been in an entrepreneurship space for now 12 years, but it actually wasn't until about 6 or 7 years ago when I started getting rooms like this. Started to hear from other folks and their experiences. I started asking people like, what's working for you? I learned the phrase, success leaves clues. And I had to ask myself, like, why not me? You're going to learn as you see me here. I make mistakes. Tech doesn't work. Sometimes I say too much. There is nothing special going on. And so I invite you to ask this question for yourself. Why not you? From what I've seen, I think why not? Here's our agenda, what we're going to go through. I just want to briefly cover this. So day 1, I'm treating this like 101, 201, 301. So it is going to advance as we go on. I've really spent a ton of time. We're talking, it's embarrassing how much time I've spent preparing this. Like Paulson was like, hey, we got, 6 hours over 3 days. I was like, man, that's a lot. We can go deep. This can be meaty. And I wanted to make sure we could just bring the absolute just chunk of value here. And so, but it builds upon itself because I recognize there's a range of experience here. There's a range of comfort. I also want to encourage you as I'm doing this, I have chat up. So if you went to that link and you chat here, not only is Paulson seeing it, responding to it, I'm seeing it too. This is super helpful for me because this is how I know things are resonating, things are working. I'm saying the right thing. If the mic goes off, whatever it is, I do have chat there. And if you see me being distracted or if you hear like a ping, it's because I usually don't have it open, but that's how High Level's doing it. So we're paying attention on Facebook. So going through the building blocks and I guess I can't click over to Facebook. Otherwise I lose clicking ability. I'm going to cover a few frameworks. These are foundational things. I'm going to go through it. I promise you some of it's going to feel like a reminder, but we need to be reminded way more than we need to be taught. And so this is I think it's going to be a goodie for all of us. I'm going to go through the journey, going to go through the bridge. We're going to cover some KPIs. These are key performance indicators. So much of this process is the mystery of it is eliminated when you realize the math of it. Like, honestly, it's less terrifying. It's less, just less inaccessible. So I want to bring it down to terms where you can feel like you've got this. And these are truly the concepts that I've seen. They carry through all of these models, all of these examples. And it's like if you don't have the basic movements down, it doesn't matter how fancy we get, you're going to fail. Like it's just not going to work. And so I want to make sure you can do the fundamentals very well. And since we're spending today, day 2, I told folks, if you're in my community, got any emails about it, this is the juicy stuff. So we're going to juicy. This is elite acquisition engines. We're talking about getting 100 subscribers. That's not for the faint of heart. Like I'll tell you, in our community, just in the high level community, this is probably the top 1%. I would say definitely the top 10% of people who are trying it, and the top 1% of people who could be trying, right? If I count that, right? If I'm going to say like you're going to be the top 1% of people who have a gym membership, but maybe the top 10% of people who actually show up to the gym. That's what I'm talking about there. We're going to, and I've got a balance. There's newbie to advanced blueprints. This is really going to break down, if we're looking at like architecting the house, what does it look like from all pieces here? If we understand our foundations, this is responsible for over $3.5 million in MRR. I looked up, I had to go through and tally all of the accounts that I've seen. This is that's not annual recurring revenue. That is monthly recurring revenue. As I mentioned earlier, this is elite, but why not learn from the elite? Like if I'm going to learn from something, there's no point in trying to model the mediocre. That actually comes very easy to me in every area of my life. It's very easy to become mediocre. It's exceptional to be elite. Day 3, we're looking at the accelerators. When we understand the framework, we understand the models, maybe, spark some ideas of like, hey, this might be good for me to run right now. Or if you're already running one, you're like, okay, cool. There's an expansion possibility for me. This is more so on the efficiency side of it, largely is getting into the traffic side of it. I'm going to cover our 60D engine worksheet. This is going to be a good one to work through together. We're going to have like very practical things when I'm starting folks off and trying to be like, how can you do this as soon as possible without needing a huge budget or anything like that. So we've got a really good method here. And I want to talk through best ROI for each stage. So to help you identify, okay, I understand the models, I got some cool ideas there. What's going to work for me now? Because I've seen it time and time again. It's like good advice at the wrong time is bad advice.
Yep.
And so my additional disclosure to you and my ask is I'm entrusting you to contextualize this for yourself. Don't let this be shiny object syndrome. That's not my hope here. My hope is this becomes practical movement makers. Like these are the toppling over the dominoes. And like I'll share some of the things that have done that for me. I want that to be for you. And so, I'll trust you to do your own context here. And so like I'm seeing in chat, if I already have 100, oh gosh, this is a different question. We'll get to that later. But if you already at 100, I'm trying to give you stuff for starting and for keep on going. Cause I do catch folks who are like, hey, I've got to a point. What does it look like to go to 1,000? And the reality is the math there is like do 110 times. But so I think some of these ideas and these methods that people are using will learn have different forms of leverage. Is it very similar, but just different scale, different efficiency, and they kind of put their blinders on there.
I
As
love that,
also,
Matt. If those of you that are watching, can you give us a temperature check? Tell us where you are in your SaaS journey. I know Matt said earlier subscribers. Now, if you're watching and you're a stranger to the high level world, you might mistake that for something like your social channels and YouTube subscribers or your Facebook subscriber. What we're talking about is how agencies, marketing agencies, and digital citizens have pivoted into functioning very similar to a software company where they are building a portfolio with high level as if they own the software and they're getting subscribers for themselves. And that is exactly what we're talking about. And then the other thing is, as Matt's talking about all these different strategies, it's very important that you kind of center yourself and know that Matt's results are not typical. Neither are any of these examples we're talking about from a revenue standpoint. Don't assume tomorrow you're going to do a few things and make a bunch of money. That's not realistic. But what we will tell you is everything Matt's sharing is from a lot of, 100% real life scenarios that we know these people that he's working with. We know where these examples are coming from. These are validated stories that we know of. So take it with a grain of salt. And the third thing that I want you to understand is that maybe $3 or $4 million a month seems like a goal that's so far away that it's unrelatable. I don't want you to make the mistake in assuming that that goal is so far away that you can relate to it and you can apply some of the lessons that we're learning from Matt. Even if you are in the brink of getting your first one or two clients, I promise you the principles and philosophies of what Matt's teaching you, even if you're trying to go from 5 million to $15 million a month, the same principles apply. So don't assume these North Stars are so far away. It's like, man, Matt's talking about big numbers. I can't even relate to it. Just wanted to give you guys a couple of contests. But in the comments, tell us how many SaaS customers are you at today? Where's your journey at today? I would love to get a temperature check as Matt's getting right into the case studies that he has for you.
Yeah, this is great. And I think it's a really good reminder. And so I'll just double down on that. That number is not the pursuit. That's the collective. That's what I'm saying. This is the basis. This could range from everybody, people doing 2K, 15K, 100K. Like there's a range of volume of subscribership and recurring revenue that's happening there. That is not carried by one person at all. But I share this also. I think the other piece of it is, as I mentioned at the beginning, what we believe is possible expands when these stories are shared. I'll tell you, the first time when I got started in entrepreneurship, the goal was 100K per year. And that might be you. Is it was like, man, 100K that feels like so much money. I was we'll get into my story, but that was the North Star. Just incredible. And for many years, like I kept on pushing, like, oh, that's 10% a year. When someone told me, remember the first time someone told me someone did $1 million a year, that felt fantastical to me. Like not like fantastic, but it felt like just like a unicorn. That's like you just told me like, oh, over there, take two lefts, and that's where the real dinosaurs are living. And maybe dinosaurs is a bad analogy, but like there's this magical creature, like there's Pokemon in real life, whatever it is. That's what it felt like to me. And so, take this as positively as you can. Don't be discouraged by it. But don't be afraid of it either. Let your mind expand. Let your goals and dreams be bigger, because truly that's one of the unfair limiters or the unfair superpowers that we have is our own belief of what is possible. As entrepreneurs, we are wired to see a future that few people recognize and see. And that commitment, that assurance of it is what pulls that future into the present. So in case we haven't met yet, as Paulson said, my face is plastered around High Level. I think I was the first one to get a Tesla. I am so grateful. High Level, they pay for my car. They pay for lots of things, and they have just totally shaped my life positively. My name is Matt. I like to tell folks, if you want to connect, Instagram is the place to connect with me. I'm very active there. I share stories. And if you ever need to DM me, like sometimes you're like, what channel is the channel that people are really on? I like to tell folks, Instagram's the one. That's where you can find me. And the real me way too often. This is my why now. So I want to help you solve a meaningful problem so you can win professionally and be famous in your own home. Paulson mentioned there's a couple of brands, HL Pro is a big one we're known for. I've got a couple of podcasts. We do YouTube, stuff like that. If you like to just consume content like this, I got you taken care of. I love sharing what is working now and trying to feed back into this community that has given me so much for those reasons. A lot of this derives from my big why, and it is family. So that's my wife, my two boys, and our big goal in 25 years, we want to raise kind and confident human beings who want to spend time with us when they no longer have to. This shapes so much of what I do. And part of that, when I think of the character that I want for my boys, and we actually we have a girl on the way, my wife is expecting, the character that I want for them is one of abundance and generosity. And so I try to model that as often as I can. And I've just seen, the more we share, the more the entire system grows. The market is so big. There's no room left in my mind to kind of believe that like I should hold anything just to myself. And as I mentioned, the real reason why you're here is because of this number. It's 5,176. I did the tally as well. This is the number of high levelers that trusted me with access to their account. They granted me access to their account. They said, Matt, I trust you to make this experience better or easier or whatever it is. And as a consequence of this, almost accidentally, I would say second to high level, I don't think anyone has the exposure to success of white label SaaS accounts than me. And I don't mean that to be braggy. I mean it almost accidentally. I did not intend this. I'll get into like how we stumbled here. But I want to be a good steward of this. I have eyeballs and I've gotten to learn from so many brilliant marketers and entrepreneurs and business owners and leaders that are doing way more than me. I've seen accounts do so much more than me, and it's just continue to push the level of skill and just challenge belief and also learn from each other. Like I said, the market's so big. I have a freebie if this is okay. I give it out also at the summit. If you guys weren't able to come to the summits, I will ship you this book for free. So if you prefer the book version of what we're going through today, I will literally ship you a copy for free. This is not a free plus shipping. There's no credit card whatsoever. Just tell me your address. I don't even ask you for your phone number because I don't need it. So just give me your address and I will ship you a copy of the book for free. If the person likes to read, then yay for free stuff. But into my story, it all started with high level. I guess it didn't all start with high level, but this journey shifted dramatically in high level. In 2019, I came to a landing page that looked kind of like this. So I started an agency in 2012. I know Paulson has to laugh. This is, I mean, it was good, guys. It was a work in progress. So if you don't know the history of high level, it came to the agency space, to other folks who were serving ordinary businesses in about December of 2018, I think was the launch there. And we had an agency since 2012. So for 6 years, that's what we were doing, serving businesses. We kind of shifted from e-com to brick and mortar. And in 2018, we found ourselves looking for a software solution. We actually wanted to launch our own software. Specifically, I wanted to eliminate this tool called Scipio. I was like, ditch this. I want to have our own. And so I was out there messing with Twilio, and I had a friend who in January said, hey, I learned these guys are launching this thing. You should check them out. High level. I came to this page. It looks so sketchy. I literally on the checkout for the sign up form said like, hey, if you got any questions, give us a call. I mean, who does that? I did it. I was like, this really doesn't feel believable. I call and the guy answers and he's like, he's walking outside. And I literally said like, I'm so sorry. Someone's scamming with your phone number. He said, no. My name's Sean. This is high level. This is a real thing. And so that's how I met Sean, one of the founders of High Level. And he told me this is real. I'm doing the math. I'm walking around I'm like, for a couple $100, I can have unlimited. All of my clients can be on here. And I've been telling them like they're currently paying $300 a month for the exact same thing. And so my mind was just racing. Paulson, I'm saying some folks are saying they can't see my screen. Maybe it's a pinning here. Just seeing that.
Let's
Well,
see. I can
Jack,
see it. I can
I'll
see
ship it
it.
wherever you
Yeah.
are. I'll ship it wherever you are. So,
Yeah. Oh,
uh,
so where if you're watching this and you're in the Zoom room, on the top left corner, you can click off from seeing the person versus the screen. That's a personal setting for you as you're watching Zoom.
there you
I
go.
can see Matt's screen. By
Perfect.
the way, tell me about the Sean guy you came across.
The Sean guy. Yeah, well, if you haven't seen Sean coming at you, you're in for a treat. Sean is one of the most connected founders I've ever met, and so committed to the product. Literally 5 minutes before this was supposed to start, Sean messages me. Is like, "Hey, can you hop on with Varun? They want to talk some stuff that we're doing on the WordPress side of stuff." And I was like, "I'm supposed to go live in like 5 minutes, so I'll catch you after." Sean is a phenomenal founder. And so here's what we got into it. And I don't know if you can read that, but I was like, there was one
Yeah.
thing that was missing inside of high levels. Like, and I don't know if you ever felt this way. One thing's missing inside of high level. Nowadays, there's nothing missing, but this is the early days. And so they have you vote for features. This is my first post in the Facebook group. I should have thought it through. There was like 100 people in the Facebook group. I didn't friend anybody. So I got zero traction on my please vote for this. So I come back to Sean. I was like, Sean, can we please, how do I make this happen? And he was like, you know what? I have an idea. We have this plan. If you pay us $5,000 a month, we'll just build out whatever you want. And so this was our early days of high level. So I just want to give
Oh
you
my gosh,
a
yeah.
contrast here. What like if there's any more basis of the value behind this, I literally paid I was like a few $100. That's way not enough for the value that I'm getting here. I voluntarily paid, you know, at the time, this is like over 10x the going rate because I believed in it. I saw the future. So if you enjoy things like custom fields, you're welcome. I just accelerated that process for you. But I was like, anything to get this live. We got to go live. And I was super fortunate in that first year. It's 2019. Now, mind you, High Level didn't have a funnel builder back then. Um, we won an award selling a high level through another funnel builder. And this was like a marked thing for me. I was like, oh my gosh, we could do like the no sales call just on a funnel. Like we could do sales just on a landing page. Um, but I'll give you, as that was happening, we ran a both and model. We had the agency and we had the SaaS. And so if I think about like the dollars coming in, it was higher ticket on the agency. We actually use SaaS almost like an affiliate. Like we were like an affiliate for ourselves, which maybe some of you guys do this thing. Like you have other softwares you recommend, and you realize the sales process for recommending a software is very easy. You literally say, "Dear client, sign up for this software." And that's what happened, right? So there was we were doing higher ticket performance based marketing, and then we just sent them to our version of high level, our rebranded private label. If you know like the ecom space, our version of it, and they paid. And there were two different Stripe accounts. We kept them independent. We treated it like something we recommended them to. But there was a marked moment for me, and it happened in March of 2020. It happened for a lot of folks. For me, it was a little bit different. So I mentioned earlier, being a father is it is the most important thing in my life, being a husband and being a father. And I had a heavy weight. I'll put it this way. I carried some baggage. I had a fear that if I ever ran out of money, I become the worst version of my father. This is what's driven me a lot of entrepreneurship to like make money. And so there's a lot of running away from past experiences and wanting to be a better version there. My son came almost 7 weeks early.
Mm.
The week of the shutdown, COVID happened. I didn't have a space in this mind. So imagine this: I'm in California. They 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 freaked out. The hospital freaked out, so they kicked us out. I don't know if any of you guys. I mean, I'm sure in the size people you've experienced and had children in the NICU. I had to leave the hospital. We both had to leave the hospital and leave our son there.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
that night was devastating. I um I just bawled. And you imagine that weight. The next day, I am that kind of person who doesn't take no for an answer. And so the NICU is this is the intensive care unit for babies. It's a separate, like isolated little pod. I
It's
could
already isolated without
it's
COVID.
it's already
Yeah.
isolated. It's independently isolated there. COVID's happening, but I couldn't get in there, but I could get close. And so for the next for the next the next day, like literally the next day, I just came into the ER holding a lunchbox and the car seat because they told me when he was going to be ready, you got to bring the car seat in. And I told the security guard, like, my son's in the NICU. He checks. Yeah, he is. I could get close. I couldn't get in there. And this is a photo we got from one of the nurses who was so sweet to like send us an update. And so for the next for those days, I was working in the waiting room next to the NICU. You know what happened to high ticket retainers when COVID hit? They absolutely got obliterated. Absolutely got obliterated, especially in California. We were shut down. And I just remember those days. And this was the fight or flight. So if you're wondering, like, how did you end up here? Like, or if you're going through something like that, I'm going to tell you it's a gift. It is a gift to get over yourself. Because I was in a room of, it was like a mastermind in November of 2019. I was sharing what I was doing here. And some person brought up, like, why don't you teach other agencies what you're doing? And I literally said to this room of 40, 50 folks, I don't want to share my secrets. So I'm telling you, this abundance mindset, it was not always there. I was living the just the lie that somehow I needed to hold on to it for myself. When this disaster hit, and I was in that moment of desperation, not only funds were cut off, my son was there, like it all shifted. There's nothing I wouldn't do. And so that set this different timeline. So we took a look at what we were doing. We had a small team helping out on our software side of it. And I was like, I think other people might be doing the same thing. And so this launched a trajectory where now we've helped over 5,000 GHL businesses launch and grow. Some of like my marketing, like mentors and idols. And so it's just been a phenomenal journey. Super grateful to be here. And my encouragement is the only guaranteed way to lose is to stop. If you're feeling frustrated, if you're feeling low, I just want to present my experience to you as another context of possibility that even in those low moments, like you can use that as fuel. Like that absolutely triggered in me a fight or flight. And if you can continue to tell yourself like you will find a way. I have more confidence in an entrepreneur who has an unwavering belief in themselves than most other institutions in the world. And so I just want to encourage you that one, you're in the right place, two, keep on going and like just be so grateful that you're in a community of like-minded folks here going at high level that are just trying to feed in as much resources and ability to make this as easy as possible to see that future you believe in become a reality. And so with
Matt,
that,
also, I just want to point something out. It takes a big visionary to share moments of vulnerability. So we appreciate you as a high level family and everybody here. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I can tell you we appreciate you sharing some of these things because for some reason I observe that adversity builds a certain type of entrepreneur. And I've seen the top 1%, not a single person ever avoid adversity. And that's what builds them. And it's really cool seeing someone like you and your family coming out of the woodworks on, traumatic scenarios that your family goes through. So we appreciate you sharing. You don't have to do that. So thank you.
yeah, I appreciate that. Well, I know in a room this size with this many folks, there's some dark things going on. We started a new tradition in the mat. We do like little events, hold it at the and part of it is we do it anonymously, but just to share the hard stuff that's going on. So I want to let you know I'm conscious of that. I mean, I frankly I spent a lot of time um praying in anticipation for this for you all that are here. And so I just want to encourage you. And
Yeah.
let's dig into it. So I'm
Yeah,
excited
those of you wondering, yes, we're still doing a 3-day workshop in high level.
it's
Let's
it's
let's
it's
dive into it because
let's
we're yeah, go ahead.
we got it. Okay. Here's the phrase. Maybe you've heard. If you don't have recurring revenue, you don't have a business. I remember this was surging up, and man, it hit me like just a ton of bricks in the agency space. Like there is a sense of recurring revenue. I would say, if you don't have disconnected recurring revenue, you may have a business, but you can resent it more often. I'll tell you on the other side of it, being in a place where people literally who I've never met before find me, they find value, they put in their credit card and they keep on paying and I don't even know their name. It is a magical feeling. And they're thankful that they could have that experience. Now, high level does so much there. So they're really just thankful for high level. But I want to cover how to turn a stranger, people who don't know who you are, into a subscriber. And there's three questions that you really got to answer. Do they know we exist? We're going to cover this in the frameworks we're going to go through. Do they want to buy from us? And do they want to keep buying from us? And then, Paulson mentioned it earlier, but I want to emphasize this distinction for you that aren't customers and subscribers the same? I would argue they're not. So, what's the difference? It's customers transact and subscribers transform. Hold that in your mind here as we go through some of these frameworks here. So, I think I'm going to stop sharing, is probably the easiest way to do it. We're going to talk through the journey. And Paulson, tell me if this is a good idea. Well, like I said, we're going to try something new here. I'm going to change the look. Okay. Can you see me, Paulson?
I cannot see you, but I see that you switched your camera.
Yeah, guys, I kid you not. We test this like a million times. And
Why don't I make you a host instead of a co-host? Let me do that. See if that makes a difference. Try it again if you don't mind. And those of you that are watching, just a quick favor, um, give us a lot of engagement in the social channels. It allows the algorithm to notify more people that we're doing a workshop like this. So I definitely would appreciate it if you post it in the Instagram and Facebook stories as well. Tag Matt Deseno as well as Go High Level. We'll make sure our teams repost and things like that. So I definitely would appreciate some social engagement. Um, so Matt, you're back to the regular camera that you were on.
I am. I tested this so many times, and of course, here we are, and it's not working. So I did like the unplug, replug everything, and I kid you not, okay, we're gonna see if I can just manually make this happen for y'all, because I did a lot of prep for it. So let's do behind the scenes, swap it around. Here's what it looks like on another side of my office.
All right. I see the journey.
Okay. Are we here?
Yep, we're here.
Good.
It's a nice little setup you got there, man. I
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
dark walls.
This is raw. Like I said, you guys are gonna get. I want to make sure you guys have a little
Yeah.
bit, a lot of
Yeah,
video.
your audio is a little far away. If you're able to turn your mic around, that'd be cool.
Is this better?
That's perfect. Yeah,
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah. Okay. Okay, we got me. I think it's all on screen. Hopefully you have it all. And we're going to keep rolling with it because I want to make sure you guys get all the content here. Okay, so we're talking the journey. Like I said, it was going to do a little bit of a different format here. Give me the feedback. Obviously, I'd give myself feedback. It works if the cameras are working. I don't know why
It
it's
looks
not, but
good. It looks good.
this is what we got. So we're talking the journey. This is critical. Understanding this is what shapes all the decisions that we make and all of the models that I think we're going to cover tomorrow. And so I do want to just dive right into it. So the first piece here is our stranger. Everything starts as a stranger. Like I said, the step one is understanding there are people that don't know you exist. This is also the first limiter. If they don't know you exist, there's 0% chance they're going to become a subscriber. Those activities that allow more people to know that you exist, those are probably top priority. A lot of times when you're going through, you're like, if you've already done it for 10 or 20 or 100, you're like, how to get the next one? This is usually the bottleneck. It's just not enough people know you exist. I'm gonna give you a quick story or relate it back to that time when I was sitting in the NICU. I I remember the mantra for me because people were canceling. Not only were they canceling, they were actually stiffing us. I did bad deals. I did net 30, net 60 terms. What this means is we would do the work for them, send them an invoice, and they could pay us 60 days later. And I thought, be generous, be easygoing, and everyone's going to be happy and love us. And for a few years, that's how it worked. When COVID hit, you know what they did? Not everybody, but unfortunately, a lot of businesses went into disaster mode and they said they weren't going to pay our invoice. This was an invoice from work in January sometimes, where I had already paid for the team. We'd even covered some of the media costs, like all these things, all the costs were there. And they just said, I'm sorry, I can't pay it. When that was happening and like the financials, like finances around me was crumbling, I couldn't be close to my son. I couldn't hold him. The mantra for me was money doesn't disappear, it just shifts. And the same thing is true for traffic. It doesn't disappear, it just shifts. If you find yourself needing to get in front of more people, in front of more strangers, remind yourself they're already there. It's just about getting in their way, putting yourself where the traffic already exists here. Okay, second step on the journey for us to understand what are they all going to go through is stranger to prospect. I'm gonna build out this chart for us, and we're gonna look at all the pieces that kind of go into it and help it flow through. But like that's what's happening. They go from they know you exist to at this piece right here, you know they exist, right? And like I look in my Instagram account, and there's on a given month, I might have 100,000 people that have seen my stuff. They know I exist, but maybe only a third of them have followed me, right? That's where I know they exist. And so this is where you've got some information for them. You understand, you can tally this. Both of these things are good. Both are positive. You both need to grow at different phases here, but they work together. It goes stranger to prospect. The magical zone over here is to subscriber, right? Stranger to prospect to subscriber. And we're going to talk through this a little bit different. It isn't just customer. Like actually, this is modeled off of actually HubSpot put out this flywheel. Like they said, don't think of your customer journey as linear. Like it happens once. Think of it as this cycle that feeds upon itself. If you're doing this really well, it gets easier and easier as time goes on. But we're going to talk about subscriber. I already mentioned the distinction there. It is a transformation. It's not a transaction. Why does this need to be the case? Because this is more relational than most businesses are, and they have to be. I mentioned if you don't have recurring revenue, you don't have a business. And I'd say you don't have a business that people want to buy. You don't have a business and assets that gives you freedom back in your life. You don't have a business asset that you could actually trade. Someone else would pay you a lump sum to take that off your hands. I've been super privileged. I mean, for the first time in my life, I've received multiple LOIs, meaning people have said, I will buy your business. And the cool thing is, if you build your business in a way, people want to buy it, you don't have to sell it. You can just be like, thank you so much. It's really flattering. Like, I appreciate that. I also recognize it's an asset because I'm able to have a compound benefit as I grow. And so I can buy back my time in different ways. And you can elevate different things here. So we're going stranger, prospect, subscriber. I think we're gonna carry through a couple pieces here, but I'm gonna challenge you with this thought. Typically, the exchange for customers, when we think about getting a customer, how do you define it? It's when someone, like, you trade something for money. They give you money, you give them something. Usually, we are playing the game of dollars for dollars, which isn't bad, right? You're trying to be like, you're going to give me $10. I'm going to give you $9 worth of something, or let me do the reverse, $11 worth of something, right? Like, each party feels like this is beneficial, this is winning here. When we think about subscribers, I'm going to talk you through 5 other levels of value that aren't monetary. There are things in our lives which you'll realize are more valuable than money. If you can give that subscriber, if you can give this prospect a value greater than money, to the point where, trading for those levers, there's no amount of money they would pay. That's the kind of commitment that you get where they pay again and again and again, right? Because to them, it's not simple math. It's not, I paid $1, I got $2 in value. It's, I paid $1, I got infinite amount of value, or I got like just such an absurdly high gap in value that I can't even imagine taking this out of my life. And the fourth one here, the promoter, the full cycle. And I want to make sure we can hit on this. And I've got some goodies for you guys when it comes to really elevating this. If you can not only get folks that want to like transact and transform, part of that transformation is it is so good they can't help but tell other people about it. If you move into this zone, if you execute in this way, you'll see like growth gets easier, growth compounds with time because you have the benefit of word of mouth on your side. And so we're going to talk through some of the practical ways to get this. So let's talk through the stranger prospect, this connection point here. Hopefully we understand it. We know what's going on. Like I said, this might be maybe being reminded more than we need to be taught, but I'm going to give you some stuff that I think will stand out and help you think about a different way. So I've got 2 dynamics here. Hopefully we can see those. It's distress and discomfort. So distress and discomfort is the key focus when you're trying to acquire more prospects, or even, like attract more strangers. So there is so much we could talk about in terms of like the 5 layers of awareness, but I want to give you this quick story. Imagine you go to the hospital and you've broken your leg. What happens? You go to the ER and you ask very little questions. Why? Because you're in a state of distress. Your leg is broken. So questions you don't receive are like questions you don't give. Where did the doctor go to medical school? What kind of fiberglass do you use in the casting process? Like, those are just nonsense. You are so aware of your distress that your proclivity, your inclination to move towards a solution is just immediate. You see a solution, you move towards it. Discomfort on the other side is like a bum leg, a bum knee. I actively have it. I'm like talking to you, I'm sitting here, I'm thinking like my knee was working out this morning and it's like kind of a little bit tweaked. I will probably live with that tweaked knee for months, for years. I might tell some folks about it. I might complain about it. I might think to myself like, this is kind of uncomfortable, but I'm not even actively pursuing a solution in the slightest. How do we talk about discomforts and distress in a way that accelerates the process from stranger to prospect? The concept that we think about it is we want to educate and agitate. Educate and agitate. If someone met me right now and said, hey, you know what? You know how sometimes you get a weird tweak in your knee? There's actually like a movement that a physical therapist can do. It takes about 30 minutes and it will relieve that knee pain for the rest of your life. It literally, you can do it once, you can learn it for yourself, and you'll never have to deal with it again. That's just education. That is education around a discomfort that I may have not taken any priority in solving before, but what's done is it's lowered the barrier to solution. Because in my mind previously, I might have only thought like, I got a bum knee, like maybe it needs surgery. Like that's the only way to go with it. And so based on my lack of education, I'm deprioritizing it. I'm actively deprioritizing it. I just don't even know the kind of solutions that exist, how easy, how accessible, how much of a no-brainer they are. I'm just uneducated. So you can educate around a discomfort, and it kind of turns it into a little bit more distressing. It's distressing that I put it off for this long, right? And you've seen those in other sort of buying experiences here where you laugh at yourself in hindsight. Why did I take so long to even make this decision? I feel super privileged. I get this feedback pretty frequently where folks are like, how do we not even know you existed? This was like for such little amount, such big headache is eliminated. It's a beautiful thing. On the other side of it, let's say that same knee problem, we could talk to, someone agitated or discuss, like, hey, when you're working out and your knee just starts to tweak and you really can't push it as hard, and you feel like you're going to be limited that way, and you're always worried you're going to injure it even further, right? If you let that go untreated, if you don't see a physical therapist, it only gets worse with time until eventually you're going to get injured, and then you're not going to be able to do any movements. You're going to be out of commission for weeks or months if you just defer this, right? So there's a little bit of agitation. Just talking about the pain, meeting it in that discomfort zone, but a little bit of education there of letting me know, like, hey, if you don't prioritize this now, it's going to get worse. It could look even worse. This happens to my wife all the time. This happens to my wife all the time. Where she'll meet, like, something online will be educating us and turning a slight discomfort into an active distress. Like, there was some moms group that was talking about, I mean, this is terrible and horrible, but like potential abductions or like some weird people around the park. Now we're like walking out in the driveway and we're like holding their hands, and she's like looking left and right, right? Like it went from like, oh yeah, stranger danger, to now it's like, are they going to like come and get us in our own house here? Right? So this education agitation, that's what you need to focus on when you're trying to meet more strangers and turn them into prospects. How can you just connect the point only around pain? I've said this before, but it's a good reminder. The person who is loudest about the problem is believed to be the best at solving it. In your learning journey, as you're going out here, what you may be doing right now is you're really loud about saying, I'm the best at solving it. And maybe you are. You're incredible. You know your avatar super well. We're going to get into this. Like, you've done a solution. I love, there's a couple folks in the community here, they've got their niches. They're having traction. They're getting success for folks. But if you're loud about just being great, it actually works worse than being loud about the problem they experience. Understand, what are the discomforts? What are the distresses? And a lot of times for like social media, it works best to take a discomfort, meaning something they know it's painful, but they haven't prioritized, and educate and agitate that into a distress. Because if you can get that movement from discomfort to distress, that's the person who walks in the ER. They ask very little questions and they're like, solve this for me now. Solve this for me now. So that's what we're thinking about in that stranger to prospect. Prospect to subscriber. I'm gonna make sure I've got. Okay, here's the game. Whoops. You see that? It is just give value. That's it. So much of business, I believe, comes down to reciprocity. I really do believe this. It is the experience where, and if you're unfamiliar with reciprocity, this is just the law, the heuristic of humanity, where when someone does good for me, I feel like, oh, I want to do good for them, right? They open the door for me. I want to open the door in return. It's programmed into us. We do it all day, every day, subconsciously. We don't even think about it. In this transition from prospect to subscriber, your focus, your preoccupation, your complete obsession should be, how can I outgive value? Now, I mentioned, there's secret sauce here. We don't just think of it as monetary value. There's other levels of value here, but how can you serve this prospect to the highest amount possible so that they start to think to themselves, I probably should buy from this person. I probably should spend money here. They also have already been pre-trained to expect that I gave you nothing. I received so much. I can't even imagine what's on the other side of becoming a subscriber for you, right? Advancing the level of relationship. This space here, actually the entire customer journey, relates very well if you think about your own sort of romantic journey. When we think about dating and marriage and long-term relationships, it's a human process here. And so as a business, the better we do business, people to people, person to person, the more effective it becomes. If we start to think like business to business and we try to act like robots that are talking to each other, like chat bots just going back and forth, that is not going to put you in the 1%. The top percent, the actual elite, do this process hyper focused on the person that's going to become a subscriber, and does it in a way so it feels like it's a business, it's a person who owns a business connecting a solution to another person who has a problem, that person to person there. So we want to give value, and we're going to cover some practical examples of this tomorrow, but I want you to understand, like, this is the game. Give away as much free value as you possibly can. That can be media, that can be video, that can be training. There's three main categories that I typically say. You can give away assets, like you maybe had like a lead magnet. We've got some assets for you here. We're giving away like tools and things like that just make it quicker. It feels like you've given away a package here, a book. That's an asset right there. It's kind of multi-dimensional. You can give away education, right? This is training. It could be also a book is another way. You could do a guide. It could be a post that just details how to do something, just education. Actually, the education doesn't always have to be how. It can also be what. So your actual process of educating folks over here can also play into the free value that you're delivering to the prospect. They started off, they're interested over here. You just keep on doing that same process. Maybe go a little bit deeper, give more education, round it out a little bit more. And so you can give away assets, you can give education, and you can give away conversations. So that's one of those on the newbie side of it. If you're absolutely getting started, the best thing you can do is have conversations with your ideal prospects. There's so much good that comes out of that. This is what demo calls are. This is what, sales call, discovery call. It takes a ton of different names here. But why I encourage a lot of folks to have those conversations is because this will give you the feedback loop of language that you then use to attract more strangers. Right now, I'll tell you, like, for the first, 2 or 3 years until 2023, I would take so many one-on-one calls. The sales team, we take so many one-on-one calls. We would just do one-on-one calls because I was just committed to having the conversation. I personally onboarded. Not only was I doing the sales calls, I did personal onboarding calls one-on-one with every person that came on until 2023. And so at some point of scale, it's impossible for you to do it yourself. And then you multiply with other people on your team. But this is critical. That is a way to give value. Those conversations right now, I wish, and hopefully you're doing in the chat, and I've been responding to folks over there in the chats, those conversations, that specific question and answer that you can give, or to help folks get clarity over like, what's the next step? I think some people underestimate how much value there is in just knowing what I should do next. And so for some folks, so many businesses, all they know is I have a problem. I don't have enough customers. I don't have enough leads. My business isn't growing. Those are usually the pain points that they feel, is like it's a lack of growth. If you can connect them even to say, hey, I noticed you don't have a chat widget on your website. Studies have shown that having more channels for communication will make it easier for people to communicate with you. Just put a chat widget on your website, and I'm going to guess more people who are already on your website are going to choose that method because it's just how people like to have a conversation, right? And you could ask them, what's going on in your life? Do you mostly talk on the phone, or do you mostly DM and chat? They're like, oh, DM and chat. Yeah, your customers are probably the same. That clarity, just giving them the aha that, oh my goodness, it's so quick and easy to solve this thing. I was thinking I was going to have to run thousands of dollars in ads. I was thinking I was going to have to hire a whole new sales team. And to make progress on my pain point, maybe there's a small little thing that could be done in very little time that could already help me move in a positive direction. So you want to give value between prospect and subscriber. You want to give value. We're going to look at examples. You can scale this, right? So 1-to-1, it's the least amount of scale, but it is the most amount of valuable feedback. So I would encourage you not to skip this step. If you're not talking to your customers, if you're not talking to your prospects, if you're not talking to your subscribers, you are missing out. You need to, put in the time. You have to put in the time. Like I said, this is not easy. This is hard. This is part of the elite. And it's like everything else in life. Like, it just takes the time. The cool thing is you put in the time there, it compounds. The better you can understand their pain points, the language they use, the better you can move into those higher leverage forms of giving value. But so that's the key thing there between prospect and subscriber. So if you've got leads and they're not converting, you're like, how do I convert? All you got to do is give more value. A quick anecdote is over in December, I'm doing it every year now, but I'm gonna give you some behind the scenes. I had this idea. Why don't we do a countdown to Christmas? Anybody seen like there's lots of businesses that do a countdown to Christmas. Maybe they do 12 days. And I just challenged myself and the team, said, let's do 25 days, countdown to Christmas. And I just want to continue to give away more and more valuable stuff. Just give away as much free stuff as possible. There was no like, actually almost none of it required an opt-in because we were just doing it to our list. So we had prospects. They were already there. We had a way to communicate with them. And we just challenged ourselves for 25 days, just give away as much possible stuff as possible. In January, I was looking at our numbers and I saw December growth. It was 30% up from like November. Now that's Black Friday. That Black Friday is already a huge day. November's huge. December beat it by 30%. My first instinct was, oh, we must have run more ads, which is totally fine. Like we run a ton of ads. We do a lot of paid marketing. There's like, we do a lot to like accelerate our stranger acquisition. I dug into it more. We hadn't changed our budget whatsoever. It was 1-to-1. The only change that apparently we did was me leading a small pod saying, can we give away as much stuff as possible? It was a 30% growth marker for us. So, you know, that's relative to the list and to the size you're currently doing. But I just want to encourage you, be creative, dig deep, find a way to give as much free value as possible. We're going to go through some like blueprints of examples of this tomorrow, but if you can hold on to these concepts in times where things start to stall, you can come back and be like, where's the kink in the hose? And so that way you can unkink the right part of the hose. Because if you've ever experienced feeling like you did work and nothing moved, it's probably because you solved a non-bottleneck. I can't go into depth about this right now, but that just means you solved something that was a good thing at the wrong time. And we'll talk about it. I'm going to keep going. I'll give you an example of, you know, how
Yeah.
could you solve a good thing in the wrong time here?
Matt, the two takeaways I have for me and the reminders that you gave me as you were chatting was the step from the stranger to the prospect. First thing is I've seen a lot of digital citizens make the mistake that they're solving for the awareness problem, the education problem, and they're putting out a ton of content, right? But when you pay attention to the content, it doesn't have a lot of context, right, to
Mm,
the industry or what their actual distress is. For example, I had my old agency in the dental world, and I used to see marketers give away Facebook ads templates for dentists.
mm,
And or like a solution that's techie for a dentist. And I'm thinking to myself, the dental practices don't have time to go do marketing. They're treating patients. So even though the marketer is putting out content and they feel like they're solving the awareness problem, they're solving it in a way that's not relevant to the actual prospect, right? And the same thing applies to the prospect, to the subscriber. A lot of people create assets, collaterals, lead magnets, PDFs, all these different things. But when you really pay attention to it, same thing. They may create the whole curriculum or whatever that thing is around their perceived value as the supplier of the
mm.
value, right? Instead
Yeah,
of the as the receiver of the value. And I know you're gonna probably go a lot detail into it tomorrow, but
yeah,
these are the two things that's reminding me, the common denominator of relevancy when you put out things.
yeah. Context absolutely creates value, and so that's a good one. If you want, that's a writer downer. Context creates value in shaping the parameters there and understanding your who. Absolutely. I do want to keep going because this is
Yeah, let's do it.
I got
Subscriber to
a lot
promoter.
more of these guys to cruise through. So, um, okay, where are we at here? Okay, subscriber to promoter. You know what you got to do? You just got to ask. And you can make that ask more effective or less effective. But honestly, this is the gap right now. If you have subscribers, I saw someone, I think it's Dennis. I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name, but Dennis had like 24 folks. And I was like, Dennis, do you have 24 video testimonials? If not, I'd be like, why? Because you didn't ask. You just got to ask. And early on, this is actually more critical because if you can start to like, if you can start to put fuel and like get the first movements going, this is just the, you know, laws of energy there, is it takes more energy to start than it does to keep going. An object in motion stays in motion. So if you can be super efficient in transitioning folks from subscribers to promoters, you'll start to see the wheel starts to spin even faster and faster. So I'm going to give you a quick example of one way that you could do this is the Zoom call. I really love this. I think it cascades to many different areas. So you have this person, they're on. We used to do it as a 30-day check-in. So they got on board 30 days ago. Usually, and I say 30 days, we'll make it 21 days because there's lots of magic you can go with this. But let's say a few weeks into them being there, they've been onboarded, stuff is connected, chat widgets on the website, whatever it is, and you do a check-in with them. The point of the check-in is usually to be super positive. The nice thing with high level is they're always launching new things. So this is always the excuse, right? Hey, I just want to show you, we're doing this new thing. I want to show you how it works. Maybe it applies to you, maybe it doesn't, but I want to let you know we are committed to keep on developing new stuff. They're excited. Most folks are like, I don't even get it, but it feels good that the train is humming along. Then you architect it. So it's a 15-minute call. You spend 10 minutes on being excited. And you're like, hey, we got 5 extra minutes. Do you mind if I hit record and we do a quick case study? I've never had anybody say no because you literally you ensured you had a buffer of 5 minutes there. So now you got 5 minutes and you're going to work through 4 questions. You tell them beforehand. I'm going to ask you like, hey, I'm going to have you introduce yourself and who you are, what you do. Then I'm going to ask you, what was the problem you were facing before we got connected? And then what's the experience been working with us, being part of the, subscribing to us? And what would you say to someone who's on the fence? So those are the 4 questions there. Who are you? What was your problem? What's been your experience? And what would you say to someone on the fence? You do this in a video on Zoom. And if you want to do it right, you start off and say like, hey, we're recording. Just want to make sure we have permission to use this in whichever way we want, in written or audio or video form. And they're like, yeah. So then you got it. The whole thing, totally above board. That creates gold. So even if you only have 10 or 20 and you're wondering, how do I get more strangers? Let me give you a quick hack here. Turn your subscribers into promoters. And a great way to do that is to do that Zoom call, do the 4-question ask. You can do this. There's other higher leverage ways of doing it. But when you're early on, why not do it in the way that's going to be the most valuable? Because if you get them on a call, I guarantee if you book all of your 15 folks on a Zoom call and you make sure you've got 5 extra minutes for this thing, they're all going to do it. And then you're going to walk away with 100% of your subscribers turning into promoters. And from an outside perspective, you having 25 video testimonials, you already look like you have 500 customers because most folks are so inefficient at this process of going from subscriber to promoter. And so, the key thing is ask. There's so many other ways you can do it. Tomorrow I'll show you some. You can do it with forms. You can do this on an on landing page video. But if you're early on, I know we got some folks there. Like my encouragement to you is do things that don't scale, so you get the power to do things that can scale. So it is in your advantage that you have the time. I literally could not hop on a one-on-one call with all of our subscribers. I just couldn't. It would be impossible for me. So that's a competitive advantage you have. Use it when you're small, when you're growing. Use that time, that connection to your customer as an advantage, and you will just create gold out of the system here. So that's the key thing from subscriber to promoter. And from promoter to stranger, how do you get your promoters? Like they're already happening here. I think this was for here. I think that's the idea here. So we got, can you see this right here? Delight. So you can get anybody to promote just by asking. I mean, you can get a high percentage of folks, like you will win. You'll already move into that elite there. If you want to actually have a system that just outperforms your wildest dreams, Delight. And here's my basis for Delight. It is exceeding expectations. Usually that's what it is. It is exceeding expectations. And you've maybe experienced this, right? You went and you bought a burger and it was like $2 and it was amazing. You thought it was amazing. It was like a $10 burger quality. But because you paid $2, your expectations was $2 burger quality. Even if you just get a $10 burger quality, you're like, this is the best burger in the world. This is what happens. I mean, that exact example is what I see with In-N-Out. If you got in California, like their price is so low that the value disparity in expectations, what I pay versus what I get, is just out of this world. And so what happens? They get to do very little marketing, and their line is just always packed. 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. I don't care, like any time of day, if they're open, there's an incredible line going on there. And you're like, how do they do it? They delight. They exceed expectations. Now for us, how can we do this, right? Because we've got minimum advertised price. We're in a digital space. We're depending on like what what they're receiving. Maybe they've got, sort of expectations that are price related. As I told you, for subscribers, not just customers, advanced form of this, we want to figure out other forms of value. But on expectations, I want to give you the gift of the habit of predictably under promising and over delivering. Under promising and over delivering. All you got to do is hold yourself back. It seems so easy. It's harder said than done, because in the moment, you want to promise the world. You're like, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get that for you as soon as possible. I'm going to get that to you by tomorrow. Just tell me, and this is what we train for. I'm going to get that to you in 3 days. Like, that's fine. That's expectation, right? That's a $2 burger. It's not phenomenal, but it's like, it's a $2 burger. It's a fair exchange. And then if you do that with things that you know you can deliver faster, now you're starting to foster delight. You're starting to foster this experience where it feels like you always beat your own expectations. Expectations are just a phenomenal thing going on, in that we all kind of can relatively match to expectations. We're not upset if expectations are set. We're disappointed when expectations aren't met. And so if you want to delight, where you will naturally have more promoters sending you more strangers, create a disparity here in expectations. And it's not always elevating your service. You can, not against it. That's a great way to do it. It's not always lowering your price. And I encourage you, like, those are the harder things to do. The easier thing to do here is just to get in the habit of under promising and over delivering. So what's an example of this? I love how automation can do this. So right now, when you buy on high level, when you get your credentials sent to you, like if you're using SaaS mode, you're in SaaS computer, it's magical, right? Their credentials are sent like 1 minute later. They get access to everything. There it is. It's all good. Why not say, hey, here's what the process is going to be. You're going to sign up for accounts, and we're usually able to activate your account in about a day, unless I put like a little VIP stamp on it or whatever it is. If you're doing a phone sale, set the expectation that it could take up to a day. You already know it's going to take 12 milliseconds. So from the start, you can find these areas where you are going to predictably under promise and over deliver. And I promise you, if you keep on stacking this thing where you just have a habit of under promising over deliver, the walk away experience is delight. You can't help it. We can't explain it, but we think about this provider, this thing that we, commit our time, our resource, energy to, and we're like, man, they always exceed. It feels amazing. And so people will talk in that way. And it's really just that you repeatedly under promise and over deliver.
Yeah. One of the aftermaths of what you're describing on the delight side, when you over deliver, is the noise that you can create as a brand with over delivering. For example, high level, it's like $97 or 297 for something that easily could be around a 4K mark. Matter of fact, there are plenty of other softwares similar to us that charge enterprise pricing at 5K for small businesses, right? So
Yeah.
when we do this for 200 bucks a month or 300 bucks a month, it's like, holy crap, I feel like I beat this system. I feel like as a consumer, I cracked the code on something, and what am I going to do as a consumer? I'm going to tell somebody. So it naturally creates a noise level in a marketplace that allows you a lot less resistance on the next sales cycles and the next acquisition method for that referral based lead that's coming in now. And that's something that I think, yourself and a couple of other big brands in the high level world that does. You guys all over deliver quite a bit, and that's the standard. That's the culture you've built. Is like, yeah, come to Matt for pretty inexpensive services, and they over deliver an entire account. And that's kind of the normal thing that we see from a lot of big namers as well.
No, and it's so true. But so hopefully, if you're writing it down, there are areas where right now you can just get in a better habit of under promising and over delivering. Don't even change what you're delivering. Just get better at setting an expectation that you're going to beat, as opposed to always pushing yourself to promise the world and then sometimes delivering it, sometimes not, because maybe even when you do deliver, it's still not as delightful because all you did was meet expectations. That's just satisfactory. You want to beat them. And so you can either, you hold back. So that's my encouragement. Next, we're going to keep on going.
Give us a one if you got a few nuggets out of that. Give us a one in the chat if you got at least some takeaways where you're like, you know what, Paulson, I've got enough to go build right now as I go. I would love to just see that kind of feedback, just so you know. So the bridge, we got a lot more to cover, a lot more content to go through.
We
Yep.
do. Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on the chat there. So yes, I would love to see if you can post a one in here. I know it's a weird experience. You're on Zoom. You're like, and I got to be on Facebook, and it plays in both places. So here's what I'll say. I'll come back. I'll respond to all of those, and I appreciate you for tuning in. And yeah, let's keep going. So the bridge. This is between you and your prospects, right? So this is kind of in that stranger zone here, but I think this shapes so much of what we're going to get into tomorrow, and it's all around messaging. It's around avatar clarity, and it really is kind of a little bit of the magic sauce between the folks that I see getting it and the folks that I see struggling. And so this is the 4 Ps. The first is person. So what this actually is, as we get this all fully fleshed out here, is this is the answer to what do you do? I think I've adapted it. I thought I was trying to give full credit, but the first time this idea came to me was from Story Brand. So this is another marketer, and he called it the one-liner. So I don't know if it kept going or anything like that, but it just locked in. And so I've refined it over the years, or maybe it's completely the same. I just want to give him credit here, but it's 4 Ps. I call it the bridge between you and your prospects. Understanding the person. I get asked all the time, do I need to pick a niche? Do I need to pick a niche? And here's what I'll say. It's easier if you do, because of what we're going to talk through in terms of that bridge. Is we're thinking about connecting you to prospects. Just imagine in your mind, like, this could be a rope ladder, this could be a Tarzan swing, or it could be a concrete bridge, right? I don't even know if you guys can see this on the camera here, but like, this is the thing that prospects are going to walk between to connect with you. It's also going to be the thing that other people can tell your ideal prospects to walk across here. So if you're like, Matt, I don't want to have one of these parts and pieces, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's like you have the bridge and you're like, I just want to get rid of the railing. It's like, that's fine. It's a little bit more dangerous. Another way that I've thought about it, as I say this, is that impact, that success, wherever you're reaching for, the equation is focus times force. Focus times force equals impact. I think this is true in physics, right? If I've got a plate and I try to push it against my hand, it's not going to break the skin. But if I have like a hypodermic needle, very little bit of force, because it's so focused, it breaks the skin there. Well, for us, we're trying to break 100. Same thing is true. The more focus you have, the less energy you need to get there, or the more focus you have, the further your energy goes. The same amount of energy with an amplified focus will go so much further. So you don't have to. I'm just encouraging you to do it. Sometimes the limiting belief there is, if I pick a person, it's the same as not picking, 1,000 other people. And I'm telling you, they aren't picking you. If you try to go out there and say, I solve everything for everyone, no one's signing up for that. So a quick, I'm actually going to give you this little Venn diagram. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but so if you're trying to pick your person, I wasn't planning on covering this, but I do think more and more so, this is a common question that I get, is like, do I need to have a niche? Should I have a niche? Who should my person be? I think of it as the intersection. The best is going to be your experience. If you have experience with an industry, if you understand, if you know it, if you've already been working in it, like that's great. Proximity, I'll cover that one last actually. And here we're gonna say, like, income potential. So if you are very well versed in food trucks, the earning potential, the impact potential for them is so low. Probably not the niche I'd go after, right? Because you could crush it for them and they'd be like, cool, I made an extra $100. And you're always taking a function less than that, right? So I want income or impact potential, experience, proximity. Here's what I mean by proximity. There's relational and geographic. So relational. My dad's a dentist. My brother-in-law is a dentist, and my wife is a dentist. Go after dentists. You have an unfair advantage just on proximity. They're close to you. You're my friend, my roommate, whatever it is. If you have folks who would let you help them just because you're a friend, that is, you're winning. The second to this is geographic. It's the reason why I overpay for eggs at the farmer's market. Something in my mind says, because these chickens live close to me, their eggs are superior. Like, I don't know what it is, but like the same thing happens in a city. Like buy local is a real power there. So if you're like, I don't want to pick an industry in my niche, pick a geography. I've seen people gain traction by just saying, I'm going to own my city. I'm going to own my town. I'm going to serve the businesses close to me because I can compete in a way that big businesses can't. I can meet at Starbucks. I can meet in person. I can be like, yeah, I live in this city. I work, I shop in the city. Like all those things are in your favor. So if you're choosing a person, consider the intersection between experience, if you have experience, the income potential earning there, and then proximity. Either is it relational or is it geographic? So we got our person. Now this is answering the question, what do you do? You want to be better at answering that. So we got person, problem. We mentioned like that distress and that discomfort. You got to be super clear on the problem. As you start to say, what do you do? Don't say, I have a SaaS company, right? What do you do? I got some stuff going online, blah. Already better. What do you do? You're going to do it in a story. Well, you know how dentists struggle to keep their patients coming back? They have a big list of folks, but they'll kind of phase out and not come back as frequently. Already, that sounds a million times better. I haven't even gotten to the second half of this. That's the kind of answer to what do you want to have, right? We want to have a tight, robust, just well-built bridge here. So person, then problem, and we're going to try to describe the problem needs to be in the context, as Paulson mentioned earlier. You need to contextualize the problem to the person, right? We know the solution. We're going to get to that. That third piece here is our product. The magical thing about the product here in this space is you don't need to overthink about it. Most businesses, if you're in like the SaaS space, like think of high level, they spend so much in resources and time creating the product. We have the product. Where we get to spend the majority of our energy is in connecting people to the product. And so here it's just about translating features into solutions. So you want to talk about the product in terms of solution, basically the other side of bad thing. So if this is the bad thing, I want to make sure this feels like it alleviates the bad thing. And that brings us to our last P here, which is the payoff. Person, problem, product, payoff. These four things, if you can practice this in the mirror, it will amplify your content. It will amplify your landing pages, your copy, your conversations, all of those things, your messaging in total. You will have a well-built bridge. So I'm going to give you an example here. We'll keep going with the dentist. Hey, Matt, what do you do? Well, you know how dentists struggle with just getting patients to come back in or to remember to come back in every 6 months? Well, we have a solution that automatically reminds all of their leads that they're supposed to come back in. It also keeps them top of mind with some automated nurture there, and it never lets them fall away. It just is persistent in their follow-up. So doctors end up having way more packed out schedules, and they can focus all their energy into patient care because they don't need to worry about whether people are going to remember to come back in, right? It's not, I have a software, I have a SaaS, I got something going online. It's person, problem, product, payoff. That is a strong bridge. What happens when you share that with people and you put that in, and that's kind of your messaging, that's the statements that you're having, that's the content that you're creating. It's portable. It's memorable. If I'm not a dentist, you know what I'm thinking about as soon as you're telling me that story of your person, problem, product, payoff? Do I know any dentists? And so even more so, like I mean, kudos to Dennis for shouting out in the comments, and I recognize it. I think he was some form of therapist. I think it was speech therapist is who he's serving. Very specific. I see that because he's very clear on his person. And I'm thinking, do I know any speech therapists who could use this thing? Like I should send it over to him, right? And so this is the power when you're trying to pick who you're going to serve and then put it into this framework where you were super clear on person, problem, product, payoff. Now it's easier for even other folks to refer you people because we naturally are drawn to solving problems for other people, right? If I feel like there's something good out there and I know someone who could benefit from that good, as a species, we are just inclined and already pre-programmed to do this. The reason why it doesn't happen naturally is when it's confusing, when it's hard to understand, when it's not clear. This is ultimate clarity. I understand if you're new, you're like, man, I don't fully understand the product. We're going to get into that tomorrow. I'll give you more examples there. But like, if you've been in it for a while, you're like, man, that was so simple. You picked one thing. And maybe it was like 2 to 3 things. And I'm sure you've gotten this on other workshops too. Simple scales. You want to get to 100, don't try to do like a million things. You got to find the a really effective distilled down version of what people like are getting. You need to have ultimate clarity there. So this is also why it's genius. I've seen newbies get traction here because they didn't tell themselves the lie that I need to understand everything. They're like, I understand 2 things. And so their lack of understanding actually became a gift in their marketing because they were limited into what they could communicate, which created absolute clarity, a tight, strong, robust bridge so that tons of prospects could walk across it to find them. And so as we're thinking about this, we're building out, like I said, we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. This might be a total refresher for you. But look at yourself, look at your marketing, look at your messaging and say, have I swayed from this? Have I gotten away from the foundations of a clear, concise story that's portable and memorable and that people can take with them? So I understand my person, my problem, my product, and my payoff. And like I said, little tidbit there. If you're trying to pick out your who, just take stock of what do you got going for you? Where's my expertise? What do I know? Which one of these, or are there ones like, is it going to make enough money? I'll say as a rule of thumb, people also ask me about pricing all the time. My rule of thumb, actually, I've got a whole nother, we'll get to it. But I'll say in general, when you're starting off, your price needs to be less than the value they're receiving. So, and like if you want a good, it's like 1/10 of the value they receive is where I'd put the no-brainer space. So if they could receive $1,000 from this, they'll probably be willing to pay 100. That's just monetary. We're going to get into those other levers that you can use that are not just monetary, but if you're just thinking math, if your price is 1/10 of the value they receive, it tends to work. If you build up other areas, you can have less of an exchange there, but when you're new, you usually don't have the skill set there. So it's just do the math for yourself. So if you're looking at a business, like they might be able to make an extra $200 a month from this early on, it's probably not who you want to go after because they would only justify it at like $20. And so that's where context creates value. Your avatar is super important here. And this is critical, honestly, no matter what you're solving, but especially in the private label, the white label SaaS space. The folks that are stronger at this, it just goes easier. And like if you can just keep this image in your mind, it's the bridge. And it's no wonder, right? More people are willing to cross over when it's not a rope bridge, it's not a Tarzan swing. It's like solid, it's concrete, it's reinforced, it's rebar, it looks like it could handle traffic. And the truth of it is it can.
And Matt, just for clarity, why is this so important for us to understand today in day one? Because I know day two, you're going to go a lot deeper into
Yeah.
the nitty-gritty and the tech side as well. Like, help
Yeah.
us understand the prerequisite that you're setting, kind of staging here.
No, this is good. Okay, so I'm gonna go over actual styles of some of these are landing pages, but like some people call them funnels. We're thinking of like customer acquisition engines, right? How or subscriber acquisition engines. Like these are the things of how people functionally go from I didn't know they existed to now I'm paying them on a recurring basis. As you look at these, a lot of times the magic isn't in the layout. The magic is in the messaging. Like I can take the exact same layout and put different words and have one absolutely crush and one absolutely bomb. And so that's why I want to give you the things like this is the magic sauce. So I'd also say I've seen you could defer from best practices, but if you've this done really well, you will have better than average results because of this factor. So that I want to give you like these foundational things, understanding these and allowing these to inform how you apply the tactics, how you apply the specific layouts or designs or even strategies, if whatever it might be. This is really the foundation. It really is the foundation. It'd be like if I gave you a blueprint for a house and you started building, but you didn't pour a foundation and you're like, why did mine crumble to the ground? I followed the blueprint to the T. I'd be like, because you didn't have a foundation. So these really are foundational. I know it can seem like foundational, but I like if I am honest with you, what separates the elite from the mediocre is consistently executing on the foundational stuff. It is
Yeah.
not people buy our standard. They don't buy our moments of excellence. And
Yeah.
so if you've got to share, if we give you a snapshot, you're like, oh, it's awesome, it's loaded in, here we go. Like you might feel like I got some standout moment of excellence here, but like I want to raise your standard. I want to see everything lifted up, and it does come down to this foundational stuff. So
Yeah.
hopefully this is resonating with you. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Matt, one of the things that kind of stood out to me as you were sharing the bridge a few minutes ago is Matt Deseno said, "I don't need to know everything about this freaking platform. Let's just remove this white elephant out of the way. It's actually a disadvantage if you don't know a lot of it, because what you put inside your brain is what you're going to take out and, basically teach or put out in content. So if you're sitting around watching mine or Chase's or any of our white paper videos all day long, 3 weeks later, you're gonna come out with a bunch of tech jargon as soon as you record your first video, right?
mhm,
So take us through that thought process, because
yeah.
if you're telling me I don't need to learn everything about these features, I'm missing something.
This is really difficult, but I, I'm I I'm gonna give you some hard truth. It would feel better for me to just teach you all of the intricacies, but I'm looking at real data behind the scenes and trying to identify what matters. That is, if I'll put it this way, if I didn't want you to succeed, that's exactly what I would do. I would have you focus all of your energy on trying to be a master at every piece that was going on. I would have you focus all of your energy on the latest release. I would have you focus all of your energy on the incompleteness of the things in beta or the things in labs, right? What that will get you is months and years of wasted energy and little to no traction. If you can put the blinders on and focus on solving real problems, it is a day and night experience. And those are it's really also about a healthy balance of understanding, like, what do you do for you and what do you do for the customer. This is a selfless activity. It is a selfless activity to say, hey, I feel imperfect, but I'm still going to move forward. I'm going to, like, be honest with you all. The tech difficulties like this, I was trying out something new. Like, I feel imperfect. And I could have said, hey, Paulson, I mean, I'll be honest, I tested it a million times and it worked, but I could have said, hey, I just feel uncertain about the tech, so we're just not going to do it. If you got any bit of value here, like, take that as an example of, like, even in the imperfection, if you move forward and deliver on the things that you know that can actually deliver value for folks, like, that's contributing to positivity in the world. And so I understand it's scary because of our own feeling of inadequacy, but if you can lift up your eyes to just see the people that we're actually solving these problems for, if you can actually deeply care about your prospects, that's, for me, is what's given me the courage to move into spaces where I do not know. I don't need to have all of the answer. And it's, as far as a learning experience goes, exposure like learning in real time solidifies so much more than learning in the hypothetical. So learn in the practical and you will learn it once. Learn in the hypothetical and you will have to relearn it time and time and time again. And so I realized that could be experiencing, you could be having a little of that for you right now. Hey, I'm going to give you this challenge. I wasn't planning on it. I'm going to challenge you to go onto social media. I know it's terrifying, and say your first draft of a person, problem, product, payoff. Go out there and say, hey, you know how XYZ has this problem? Well, and actually, I have a bonus for you. It's right here. Between problem and product, if you want to get advanced, it's empathy. Empathy is good marketing. It's understanding the people that you're solving the problem for. So this is a challenge. I'm also going to exemplify like a full round out version of this, and we're going to keep going on to the next. Next, we're going to get some KPIs and some unexpected math stuff. But you know how, service. I'm going to pick. Well, Paulson, has anybody else chatted in a niche? I want to go with like a different example.
Let's
Just
see. Can you
another
guys
example
all
here.
chat in what industry you're
Yeah.
in? I'll
First one
just
that
I'll
does it, I'm
just
gonna I'm gonna riff for you right now. So I'm gonna make your homework
Yep,
very
yep.
easy for you.
Tell us what industry you're in. Any gym people in here? It reminds me, I need to go get my lift in one of these
Okay,
days.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
ASAP.
Yeah. I got my pumping this morning. So the we'll use the gym. That's fine. You know how gym owners uh gym owners struggle with just growing their reputation. They have a great thing going, but not enough people really see how good it is. I think that's not right. Like, I think that's that should be fixed in 2024. And so what we've done is created an easy way for gym owners to automatically activate their subscribers or their members into brand advocates. So they get to keep on focusing on great programming and great, gym stuff, and the reputation of the gym will grow hands off. There's an example. I want you to take that, you can practice it and post it in social media. I don't care if it's a video, I don't care if it's typed, just put that post out there because as I said, it's what's caught, it's not what's taught. I don't care to hear my own voice. I care that you would do these things, put them into practice. I would not be surprised if you do this and then add a call to action. If you know anybody, I'm looking for a few more folks to help. Send it, post your bridge. If you know anyone, I'm looking for a few more folks to help. I would not be surprised if you could get some new subscribers, some new prospects today, right now, just taking that imperfect action. So I am conscious of our time. And so I'm going to keep on going through some KPIs. So we got 3 levels to the KPIs. And I want to appreciate you guys staying around. I know this is a long bit. There's a lot of content to consume. I have a bonus. I have a bonus, which is the most foolproof way that I have found folks get financial freedom, or at least make the equation work for high level. And it's the next page after here. So if you stick around a few more minutes, I'm giving you, this is not one that I'm covering tomorrow. This is not necessarily one that I've seen get to 100, but is the most foolproof way to cash flow this high level business zone. And that's literally the next page after this. So I just want to say thank you for sticking around this time, and just hold out a few more minutes. We're going to get into that. Like I said, especially for the new folks, this is a good one. So KPIs, there's 3 levels to KPIs. What KPI is just key performance indicator. It's the old adage, what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed has the chance to improve. I'm going to give you 3 tiers here, and these are not obvious ones because I wanted to expand your thinking. And this isn't like MRR. Like, of course, we're measuring MRR. So on level 1, I'm going to give you these 2 factors to understand. And it's CAC, even though we'll call it like CAS, but it is commonly cost to acquire a customer, or cost to acquire a subscriber. Understanding what is your cost to acquire a customer or a subscriber. You can calculate this in time. If you're just using time, take your time, put a value on it, and then ascribe that a number, right? So if you would pay yourself $15 an hour, whatever the task is, to DM people on Instagram, and that's what you're doing, and it takes you 5 hours to DM enough folks to get one of them to say, I want to do it, and the sales call process there, then start tracking this number. LTV, lifetime value. So this is a ratio, which is CAC to LTV. I said this is level 1. Level 1 I could have said is monthly recurring revenue. A little bit more advanced, but I wanted to give you something to hold on to. You can come back and watch this. Understanding this tells you when you can scale. So this is where if at some folks you're at 25, maybe you're at 90, 100, you're at 15, go and calculate this. What is your cost to acquire a subscriber? Commonly known as CAC, that no one does like CAS, but what is it? What is the cost to acquire it? If it's time, calculate it in dollars. If you're using any sort of paid advertising, any sort of mechanisms here, go full cost into that. Full cost. What's your cost? And then what is your lifetime value? If you're new, you may not know this exactly. I'm going to give you a proxy. I'm going to give you conservative numbers here when you're calculating your lifetime value. If you're doing monthly and if you're new, just assume 10% churn. I'm just going to gift that to you. Now, you could absolutely beat that for sure. Phenomenal. But if you've only have 1 month, you're trying to do rough math on here saying can I scale? Assume a 10% churn. If you go annual, you get the perk of cutting that by 5, you go to 2% churn. So this is general stats. You take it out there from ProfitWell and studies that have been done over subscriber-based businesses. So technically, literally every business has different stats. So I'm trying to give you some rules of thumb, and you might say Matt, I could beat that. That's horrible, whatever it is. Well, I get it. These are tracked from maybe from the mediocre many. I'm not saying this is from the elites, but when we don't have the data, I would rather, to myself, under promise, over deliver than do the inverse experience there, right? So we're going to calculate our cost to acquire a customer, get real on that, our lifetime value. And if you don't have, if you only have 1 month and you're Matt, how do I do this with my churn? And they pay me, $97 per month. How do I figure this out? Just type in lifetime value calculator, LTV calculator. Those are the 2 variables you need, what they pay you, what your churn is. and you can kind of derive to it. Even right now, it's blanking off my mind. The calculation there, it's not hard, but that's what I'd say. And then get this ratio. You want the ratio of your costs to the lifetime value of the subscriber. You want this to be at least a, I mean, if you're 1 to 10 or greater, go all out. You are in a solid space. If you are less than 1 to 5, you need to consider, you need to elevate, you need to work on these variables. You're not ready to scale. I think, maybe best is like less than 1 to 4. But so I'm calling this level 1. If you're trying to get 100 or you're moving in that space and it's like, do I just do more of what I'm currently doing? This is what you need to know. If it's, do I do more of what I'm currently doing?
Yeah.
This,
Also,
this
also a
ratio.
reminder for those of you that are advanced, your CAC LTV is not just based on paid advertising.
Yeah.
It's based on your full ecosystem of what it takes to get in front of a customer, spend time on Zoom, bring them in, and then get them to resubscribe your SaaS multiple times, right? So it's not just I spend 2,000 bucks on ads, it cost me 200 bucks to get a trial. That's not, it's beyond just that.
Yeah, and we want subscriber, not trial. You can kind of figure this out here, but like honestly, if you get 100 trials and none of them convert, it was completely ineffective. The other tidbit that I'll give you on LTV is do net LTV is technically the value that we really care about here, because I see some folks where they'll be like, my lifetime value is $10,000. This happens more commonly in the agency space. Like, oh, lifetime value is 10,000 bucks. It's like, how much does it cost you to fulfill on those folks? And you're like, $9,000. Like, okay, so
It's 1,000.
it's 1,000 is your net LTV. For us in the software space, we have less of those costs, which is why it's magical and it's great. But I want to consider that for you as you're thinking about this, like this should be, it's divided by the customers that you have. But if you got 25 customers, you should look at like, okay, I'm paying for a high level, man, I'm paying for HL Pro Tools, whatever it is, these things that I've got in there, calculate it in there. This is not bad. I'm not saying this is bad. Don't feel judged by this, but know the number. Don't drive blind. This is just windshield wipers to get clarity. So I'm looking out and I see where I'm going, because what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed has the chance to improve. I've rarely seen something that's unmanaged and unthought of go in a positive direction. This is just the law of entropy. Everything goes towards chaos and destruction. And so start measuring it. Like I said, this is level 1. Level 2 is TTV and NRR. I be, like I said, this is a little bit advanced. I love it if you know. So TTV, this is time to value. If you want to drive up your lifetime value, consider the time it takes for someone to say this phrase, that was worth it. That's where it's a little bit arbitrary. I can't decide for you where that moment is where they receive the value, but that's what I'm looking for, is how little time can it take between the transaction and the experience of that was worth it. And if you can shorten that time period, this is a critical thing you should start measuring. So I gave you the example earlier of the ask. That's a great way to get them to say that was worth it. I said 21 days right there. Like, hey, they subscribed 21 days later. I'm getting them to say that was worth it on video for themselves and for the world. The faster you can get time to value, the better your lifetime value is going to be, the better your retention is going to be. All those things are going to improve. And so it is a leading indicator. What do I mean by this? In metrics, there's leading and lagging. Churn is a lagging indicator. It's like it already happened. They already left, right? Like I can't tell you, I can look at churn and be like, I want this to get better, but I can't just like look at churn and think improve churn to improve churn. Time to value is one of those things you can look at and improve, and because it's a leading indicator, it's a leading performance indicator, right? It's saying if I do this better, churn will get better, right? All these other things start to improve by doing this faster. NRR, I've also heard this called NDR, net dollar retention or net recurring revenue. This is critical. What this number is and what this value is the amount of expected revenue that you're going to get from a subscriber, let's say in month 2. And this is a function of 100%, but you can go over 100%. So the healthy gold standard is 120%. This means that on average, someone starts off and they pay you $1, and the next month they pay you $1.20. They ascend, they get in, and they actually want to elevate the amount that they're paying you. Now, that's not, your next level might be, 200% the cost. So you're not saying like all of your customers do this, but the majority do. And so this is why this is critical, is because this number can't be solved by more marketing. So I've seen folks, you can actually manipulate churn by just going harder at marketing, right? Because a function churn is relative to number of subscribers. If I bring on like, let's say if I'm losing 100 subscribers every single month, or if I'm losing 10 subscribers every single month, and I just the next month I go hard and I get like 100 new subscribers, it'll look like your churn improved. But did you actually get better, or did you just outmarket a leaky bucket? So you can have the leaky bucket for yourself. This net recurring revenue or net dollar retention, this does not account for any marketing activity. It's what happens after you have a subscriber. How likely are they to stay with you and ideally spend more with you? Because if you're doing this well, you under promise, over deliver. They have one tier of expectation. We're like, wow, this was good. And then you start to build out a value ladder behind that. You can offer them higher tiered things and start to get them to do more. Like I said, this is level 2. I realize, KPIs, maybe a little advanced, but I know we got a range of folks here, and I want to promise to give value to everybody. And so after this, we're going to flip on the other side of it to something new. But time to value, net revenue, a net recurring revenue, net dollar retention. If you're wondering, like, Matt, how do I track these things? This one's completely subjective. You just start tracking it. You start saying, when did this person say that was worth it? The best way to do that is
Yeah.
to get a review from them. So
Matt,
just
can I give you an example? You tell me if I'm thinking about this the right way for
please.
those everybody that's watching and they're maybe a little new to the SaaS world.
Yeah.
So let's say for TTV, I'm thinking I sell reviews management, right? And that's my
Okay.
offer. $200 reviews for a small business. And maybe within the first 20 days, I typically tend to get a testimonial. And my mark is a video testimonial. By 20 days, I get a testimonial. And
Yeah.
then by the next 30 days, or the next 20 days for simple math, I expand them to not only reviews management, but I turn on a funnel for them, an AI chat, and maybe, I don't know, something else, SMS marketing. So then
Yeah.
now I've taken a $200 client to making them a $500 a month client. So now, am I thinking of it in a simple way? My
Yeah.
TTV is 20 days,
Yep.
and my recurring revenue that expanded is about $300.
Yep, that's exactly right. And so
Okay.
this will be a function of all of your customers. And so you might be in that super healthy zone, which would be 120%. Most folks, like I said, if you're, I mean, I don't want to prescribe anything for you. Don't be discouraged if you do these values and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm at 80%. I'm like
Yeah.
a point
Yeah.
0.8 here, because what it's surprisingly, I don't say surprisingly common. I'd say it is common because we're in this zone where we can feel like we can't affect the product as much. So we just
Mm,
focus a lot on marketing, which is
yeah.
fine, but you can absolutely affect the experience. And so
Yeah.
some of these things to, like even that time to value, we're saying we know it because we asked for the review. If I challenge you, said, hey, let's get that time to value down to 7 days. What would happen? You would have to change your flow so that they have so much value in 7 days that they would say this is worth it. So it's just a good metric to keep in mind there, because it
Yeah.
challenges you to say, how do I make their experience? How do I elevate their experience? How do I make it feel so good that they're like saying that was worth it as fast as possible?
Yeah.
And ways to track these things, there are online calculators. I'm gonna shout out. I think they've got a free plan. So like I think a high level uses Chart Mogul. You might confirm that. There's
Yeah.
Profitwell.
Yeah.
We personally use Baremetrics. All
Yeah.
of these usually have kind of like a startup plan where you're beneath a
Yeah.
threshold. You're maybe paying nothing. So you can really get away with some of these more like just dashboards and reporting stuff. They plug right into Stripe and
Yeah.
they give you these numbers. Stripe has some of these numbers too, but like Stripe doesn't have these. Like they just don't.
Yeah.
And so that's why this is level 2. And so there's a
You know,
few as an example that you can get
yeah,
started for free.
as you show level 3, you know what I think is really cool in the grand scheme of things in this moment for me is that we're in a workshop teaching a lot of digital citizens and marketers how to think like a software company.
Hmm.
And these are things that Matt's describing. Literally, this is what we deal with every single day: is tracking numbers, 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 and even at high level, we're trying to get better with data, right? So, keep going. I
Yeah.
think we're elevating the marketing world in a whole new way. Maybe I'm nerding out about it, but keep
I,
going.
I I love it. And like I said, next slide, we're gonna bring it back down. Okay, ROE, return on energy. This is probably the easiest one to grasp, but I'm calling it level 3 because here's what I've seen. As you start to do this well, you have to say no more. And like from that first thing we talked about on the last slide of like selecting your person, I know it's painful because it's an exercise in saying no. You are just starting on this process of saying no. When you get to this level 3, you can actually start to track what is your return on energy. That's not just time. It's actually, does it lift you up or does it tear you down? I'm going to just encourage you as a leader, as an entrepreneur, someone who is, the probably one of the key decision makers in your organization. Your business will only grow as much as you do. The first time I heard that, I was like, woof, oh my goodness, this is so, hit me so hard. But there's reality to that. If you are stuck in a negative space, a negative energy, if you are limited in the areas that you want to go to, it's not bad, but like you will be the greatest limiter to the business. And so protecting your energy, some folks they might be like, they're hearing this like, Matt, I got this. That makes sense. Cool. I hadn't thought about that, but I'm going to add it in. I'll just check barometric, get it done. And this next piece is, if you're feeling like you're plateauing, you're like, man, I've gotten some traction. I'm not, how do I get that next 100? Or how do I repeat the cycle? So like every month, not only I'm doing it, but I can get my team to do it on my behalf. It comes down to a hyper conscious awareness of the energy and that return on energy. And so I'll be honest with all of you. When you guys engage on the chat, when I see someone just sent me a selfie, or I know they took a photo of me, or whatever it is, man, that is energy given for me. Like that builds me up, and I don't expect it. Like it's awesome if it happens. You got to find the things in the business that build you up, that continue to amplify your energy. And that's where you'll find the discipline, the commitment to go back and do the hard things that need to happen. Sometimes it's the boring work that needs to work. Don't stop doing the boring work. Just be more selective about the things that you do, so you have a good balance of like the things that are building you up, that are edifying you, that are like just giving you life, so that sometimes you can do the stuff that it's grunt work. It's hard. I'll tell you, like cameras and redrawing this out and sticky notes and stuff like that. Like it's not like my favorite thing in the world, but for you all, like I'm gonna come and bring my best.
Yeah.
And so just consider that return on energy. This is like a check-in on a weekly, maybe
Yeah.
daily. I think that's a good
Our
one for all of us.
our big thing is the summit itself. It's the biggest energizer for me in the whole world of high level and marketing. You
Yeah.
come across stories, and I mean, you guys come and your whole team comes literally every single year. I mean, you know how it is. It's like you realize how many other people were on the same journey, and it's the most incredible thing. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
One more principle. Are you guys okay with us going into one more principle? You got two more principles.
No, I think I got one. I'm making sure. Making sure. We got one more. I got a
Okay.
couple more slides. We'll finish it off.
Okay.
Okay, so this just let me give you context. You came to me, you're my good friend, and you were like, Matt, I'm getting started in this thing. I want to do it. This is what I would tell you. This is the thing that I've seen have the least amount of failure, if that makes sense. And how would I define failure? Folks that come in, and the story is like, man, I've been at this for 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, and I don't even know I'm going to pay my bills. To me, like that, I've been in those tight times. I understand the practicality of like, I need to provide for myself, for my family, I need to keep a roof over my head. And even when I see these opportunities for expansion, where I'm investing in myself, I'm investing in opportunities, it is critical to cash flow those things as fast as possible and as steady as possible, because that's where, when you are no longer in a need mindset, then you can really open up to abundance. It actually kind of gets easier. So that's what I'd say. This is the thing that is not going to necessarily get you 100 as fast as possible, but it will stop you. It will stop you from falling, from the ground falling out from under you. Like I started recommending this and teaching to some folks, and it'd be like, I check in 6 months later, 12 months later, and like, yeah, I'm doing 4 or 5K a month. And that's magic. And like, even if you're just netting like you're probably on here, $3,000 a month net profit for you, probably could mean the world. And so that's why I want to give this to you. So here, I call it my farmer method. And so a lot of times I've heard folks describe marketing, or even entrepreneurs, they call it, like there's a book, actually Alex Sharfin, who was a headliner at the last summit. he talks about this entrepreneurial identities, like the entrepreneurial, I think he calls it the hunter. It's like we are the evolutionary hunter is what he calls it. And it's like, back in the day as humans were evolving, we were the ones that were like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to hunt the whatever it is, the rhino. I'm going to bring back the meat. And it's good. We're adventurous. We take risks. We take personal risks to bring about a collective good. Now, that's all well and good, but it's risky, right? Like that's the whole point. It's like volatile. Maybe you kill the rhino, maybe the rhino kills you. And so the farmer method is a lot less risky. And I've kind of seen, I grew up in a small town that was agricultural and, had like, we were actually like the turkey capital of the US for a while. And so I understand ranch land and farming, and I had friends with chicken ranches, all this sort of stuff. And it's not like glamorous, but it works. Like this keeps the system running. And so there's no glamour here, but it just works. And so here's what it is. This is you're the farmer. What I'm going to challenge you to do is to go out there and plant 3 seeds. So right now, if you have a 297 or a 497 account with high level, there's this magical thing that happens, which is called unlimited sub accounts. Imagine if I just gifted you unlimited candy bars. And you're like, I literally have a bag of unlimited candy bars. You do not need to be like stingy with your candy bars. Like if somebody comes over, you'd be like, hey, you want a candy bar? Like, check it out. Why? Why? One, I think it trains yourself to be generous, but we're going to talk through that. There's the basis. You have unlimited sub accounts. That's my premise here. You're going to find 3 businesses that you know, like, and trust. You already are their customer. You pay them. This could be the person this could be your chiropractor. This could be where you get your dry cleaning done. This could be your buddy who owns a restaurant. This could be a friend, relative, neighbor, or it works even for businesses that you go to. I did this with the lady who cuts my hair. Like there I am. I pay her every single month to cut my hair. And you say, hey, I mean, actually, if you want like a gut check, go to their website. If their website doesn't have a chat widget, you've already got it. Go no further. Like we figured out that's the one thing we're going to gift them. We're going to get into more practical examples tomorrow, but like I love the chat widget because it's a binary problem. They have it or they don't have it. Usually people have a website, but you might be like, it's bad, but they're like, I love it. It's great. If they don't have a chat widget, they don't have a chat widget. It's like you're scoring a 0. I don't want to throw them under the rug, but you're essentially an Australian breakdancer, right? So it's like you get just zeros all the way across the board. And you say, hey, I love what you're doing. Obviously, I love your business. I have this thing that I'm doing. I think it could actually bring you in more leads. Would you mind if I set you up for totally free? And my only ask is, if you see some value from it, can you just send other business owners, like just send me like a referral once per month? That's it. You are literally planting 3 seeds with businesses you already know and like. That think about that. If you could help them make more money, like why not? Like this is just be better for them. It's also, as a consumer of lots of businesses, it's better for me. You want to know how frustrating it is when I go to a business and I have to comb around for their form because I will not call them. I don't care how big your phone number is. I'm not calling you. And so I have to like struggle to find the form. If they just had a chat widget, I'm like, it would make my life better. So not only are you making the business's life better because they will get more leads, you're actually making their prospects' lives better because we prefer it. I mean, I'll speak for myself, and I have friends who are in the same boat. You give me chat form or you give me phone, I'm choosing chat form 100% of the time. And I enjoy it. It feels so efficient. It feels good. It feels magical. So like help the business get more leads and help the customers of those businesses not be frustrated. You're doing so much good in the world by literally giving away, planting one little seed. And then here's what happens. Well, I mean, there's 2 phenomena that'll happen, but surprisingly, they get value from it. I'm going to tell you, it's not rocket science. Even just that one thing, I would bet any amount of money if the business was currently getting leads, I don't care if it's 2 leads a month, and you put a chat widget on there, I'm going to guess all 2 are going to go through the chat widget. But odds are they'll end up with 3 because somebody left because there was just too much friction in talking to them. It's a language problem for these businesses. Like it's literally like they may as well put send me a fax on their website. And so you're helping them go from send me a fax, why is no one faxing me, to now I have a chat widget. It's a modern way of communicating. It will work better. They'll experience value. They win. So it's yay, happy face, smile time for them. and they'll send you referrals. And these folks are the easiest lay down sales you will ever have because they will already have been pre-sold by the seeds that you planted. And so, as I mentioned, is this going to get you 100? No, it'll probably get you about 30 referrals over the course of the year. But what I encourage, if I'm going to challenge you another thing, is plant these 3 seeds as fast as you possibly can. As I mentioned, if you already have a 297 account or 497 account, you have unlimited sub accounts. Go plant those seeds. And if you want to be an overachiever, plant more seeds. But here's the other phenomenon you'll have. One of these odds are I've gotten a lot of feedback on this. Odds are one of these folks are going to say, "No, I don't want you to give it for me free. Let me pay you." You go out there to try and give it away. On average, one of these 3 are going to say, "Now, can I pay you?" Tomorrow we'll talk about what to charge, but that's the farmer method. Like I said, Paulson, I got like 2 more slides. And so
Yeah.
I'm going to
And I
shift back
think
over here. Was
go
that
for
good?
it.
Is
Absolutely.
any
And
takeaways there?
yeah, big takeaway for me as you are reconfiguring your setup there is the idea of compound interest with the farmer method, the seeding method, because eventually what happens is you have 10, 20, 30, 100 people that are raving fans of your solution and they feel obligated to you. And it's like it's almost like an affiliate model or a referral model, kind of like a BNI kind of a system where you're constantly giving, giving, giving to the point where they can't ignore the giving.
Looks like I'm disabled from screen sharing. Can you bring that back?
You should be able to. Let's see. Let me just go ahead and make you a co-host. Yeah, there you go.
There we
Yeah.
go. Okay. I appreciate y'all hanging out. Love it. Love the ones. Okay, now I get to see all the chats. Okay, so we covered all these things. We got our bonus in there. I'll just stamp this here. Hopefully I modeled it well. Do you see I under promise over delivered? Like I
I
built
love
out
it.
that thing like from the start. I was like, we're going through these 3 things, and I knew there was a 4th there. So, it's what's caught, it's not what's taught. You can do this. You absolutely can do this. Tomorrow, we're going over these blueprints. I'm really excited. Those elite acquisition engines, Newbie Advanced Blueprints. This is responsible for incredible amounts here. And then, if you are ready to sign up or upgrade, Paulson, they put this on. Hopefully, this is phenomenal value. I've received so much, and so they let me put together an awesome free trial for you. Here's my bonus: is I'll sign your book. No, I'm just kidding. So we're gonna break down the real bonus tomorrow, because as I said, it's assets, it's education, it's conversation. I'm gonna continue to model the best way to do this. I really do believe in all of you. You would be surprised at how much positive energy is going into this high level community, and so just want to encourage you to take those action. The 2 challenges there: can you post your bridge on social media, and then can you plant those seeds? I mean, high achievers. You want to be elite? Why not you today? Why not plant those seeds today? And if you don't have those unlimited accounts, you can literally sign up today on a free trial. You could be planting a seed, and by tomorrow, another business in your area that you already enjoy could be having a better experience of getting customers, and their customers could be having a better experience as well. So, yeah, appreciate y'all. And Paulson, I think I'm on time, right? I think we're doing
Yep,
good.
you're good. You're good. So those of you that are watching, take advantage of this 30-day trial offer. It comes with a ton of collaterals. Now, here's what I'll tell you. Today was the most important day for you to understand the principles of marketing, principles of sales, principles of SaaS, customer service, customer success, customer satisfaction. There's a lot of things that Matt went through 5, 6 years of building these software businesses and service businesses around software as well that he's teaching you. And this is not elementary stuff. These are principles that takes years for you to develop. Tomorrow, we're going to go heavy into the tech side, go into a bit more depth of each specific item. And day 3, we're going to bring it all together. But I promise you, if you didn't get a chance to see the whole thing today, go to the replays. It will be on YouTube, it'll be on all the social channels. But most importantly, if you're on the fence, take advantage of the 30-day trial. It doesn't make a difference if you jump into this or not. I promise you. At some point, I feel very confident that high level will give you enough value that you will consider us at some point. You might as well take advantage of all the collaterals with Matt. That's the way I'm seeing it. At some point, you're going to check it out. But either way, Matt, what can we expect tomorrow? Just to give us a quick review on the day two agenda. What are we going
Oh
to
yeah.
cover tomorrow?
Yeah, here it is. Let's see. So
Yeah,
we're gonna break down
perfect.
10 engines. And I know this is a lot, but you have the recordings. So come back, study these things. Hopefully you can sense that like I'm holding nothing back. I want to bring you the best that's going on here. I'm gonna start off and we'll talk through the difference between some of the newbie ones, some of the advanced ones. Somebody put in the chat here, and I'll just double like that is it's execution. So, if you want to get unnormal results, it's actually not about the mechanism because we're giving it to you. We're making it as easy as possible. It is about the execution. So if you want to prove it to yourself, start today, post your bridge on somewhere in public on social media, and then get yourself in a position where you can serve 3 businesses today, tomorrow, this week. Why not you? Why not you now? Why not you? I can see no reason. Everyone, it's within our power to execute. And that execution, that's the gap that really separates the elite. So I'm super excited. We're
I
going to be
love
bringing
it.
it happy tomorrow.
I love it, Matt. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. In case if you didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing, replays are available everywhere. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.